Hi guys, welcome to this video. What I wanted to go through today is I wanted to show you the progress of my newest wizard. He's had 4 games now, and also give you a quick update on the global campaign that we're running. Right then, so I'll start off with the global campaign. Go through it as quickly as possible. Basically, if you're not aware of what it is, it's a campaign where people play their own opponents, their normal opponents, on their normal table at whatever time suits them, as long as it's within the time scale of each round. Within each round, you're playing one scenario, which is set by the campaign, and then the results of that get added to everybody else's results, depending on which side you're fighting for. We've got the Seekers of Yarville and the Wizards Council. These are the 2 factions that will be hiring your wizards to fight against each other over something in the campaign. The results of which go together, and at the end of each round there's a winner, and that progresses the story onto the next round. And we're hoping to run the first one, for 4 rounds, so that's 8 weeks. The first round started last weekend, so you've got until New Year's Day to get that together. And then we'll do a video for the results, and we'll move on to round 2. So that's going to be cool. There's a lot of people in the group, but I've got a feeling a lot of people are there to just see what happens rather than participate at this stage. So if you're interested, I'll put a link in the description. Head on over there and you can read up on the different factions and choose a side and see what it's all about. Right, sorry, I've been talking for quite a while. What I wanted to go through in this video, because I'm a bit thin on the hobby front this week, with the broken computer and out of works do, and I've not been very well this week, so it's a bit of a shocker in terms of actually doing any hobbying. So I thought I'd take you through the wizard as he is now, and talk through some of the choices I've made and how I see him working, or how he does work even. Right then, so this is the wizard sheet here. It's a little bit dark because the exposure's gone all screwy on my camera, so you'll have to excuse that. So we've got Giles and Xander, here we are. So we've got untouched stat lines for both of them, except for Xander, who's got +1 because he's got this staff here, which I found as part of my treasure. He's a sigilist. And we've got level 11 because we've got 1,180 experience points. That's over 4 games. You can see here I just put down the different modifiers for the different schools that are on here. Of course, Summoner here is the worst one because he's the opposing school to the Sigilists. As you can see here, I've got the basic starting scores that I would have on my spells. Now, I've got spell cards that I'm going to show you in a moment, and it's a good hobby tip, actually, these spell cards, in terms of managing your spells and using them during game. So I'll move on to that in a second. On to the soldiers. Now, you'll notice I haven't given any of the soldiers names because they're completely expendable. However, I have put in the notes here a little bit on how to denote which one they are. Now, we've got 2 rangers. Both of them have a bow +1 shoot. One of these I found, the other one I bought. And these are really good guys. What you'll notice down here, 7s all the way. I've tried to make a mobile force. It's not very heavily armoured. I think the biggest armour I've got is 11. But I've tried to make it as mobile as possible and give it a helping hand wherever possible on hitting things. So we've got 2 rangers, both the same, both have the +1 shoot to their bows. I haven't actually updated this ranger here. Then we've got 4 treasure hunters. Now, treasure hunter is my favourite class, aside from the 2 new ones, which are the mystic warriors and the monks. They all have +4 fight. You'll notice that these guys here have +6. That's because they've all got magic weapons. They've got an axe here, a sword and another axe. And these are denoted by Crazy. This is the axe-licking fella. We've got the guy with the sword, the guy with the axe, and the guy with the dagger. So that's how I denote the difference between the different ones. Again, all the same stat line, except for dagger fella down here only has a +4 because he doesn't have a magic weapon yet. Couldn't quite afford one. Yeah, so I like my treasure hunters, and then I also like having thieves. Now, one of these thieves has a particular job in these games, and I'll show you what his job is when we go through the spell cards. And a thief, of course, is very basic, really pants. Except he's good at moving, basically. That's his purpose. And the other thief the other thief to the one that actually has a purpose. It's just there for numbers, really. Before I go on to the spell cards, I'll quickly go through this. Not much treasure left. Tower is my base. That's because of Reveal Secret is one of the spells which I chose. There we go. Started off as a 16, a lot lower than that now. And the tower helps with that. It gives me -2 to the difficulty of casting Reveal Secret. And again, Reveal Secret, I'll go through that in a moment. So we've got all of these grimoires here. I haven't learnt any yet, and you'll notice that because I haven't actually increased any of these stat lines up here, that's because I've put them all into the cards. Now, I'm going to quickly go through the ones that I use out of game first, because they're the simplest ones to explain. Now, Reveal Secret. Reveal Secret, the idea is, from up in my tower, I've noticed something sparkling in the ruins. Now, Reveal Secret is basically the ability to place a token within 6 inches of your deployment area, so you can basically put it, because it's within 6 inches, right next to one of you guys, the thief, and then you can. And then what I do is if I cast it successfully, this +2 here is coming from the tower. I need to basically put some more points in there because a 14 is still quite difficult to cast. Just to quickly explain these cards, what I've done is I've printed out the sheets that you can get from the website, cut them up into their individual spells, got some card protectors from Tinternet, tried to make sure that they're the stiff ones so that they make these really feel like cards, and then me and Harry and Callum all do the same sort of thing. You've got the difficulty to cast and the number of points you've either modified it by or spent on it there. Just it's a way of keeping track of your levels, basically. And of course, having the card to hand is a great way of making sure you've got all the rules to hand during the game. So, Reveal Secret, if I'm lucky, I cast a an extra treasure, and one of my thieves just runs off with it. If you've played me, you'll know that my dice rolling is particularly unlucky, and so having the ability to give myself both experience and gold 50% of the time when I'm playing a game, this is a massive help in terms of progressing my wizard, because without it I really suffer. Then we've got Right Scroll. This one basically is done at the end of the game, so this one here is done before the game, so before deployment, and this one here is done after the game, and it lets me cast a spell to write a scroll. And the pure simple reason that I'm using Right Scroll isn't because I want the scrolls, it's because I want the money. Each of those scrolls is worth 100 gold, which if I've lost an expensive soldier in a game, this buys me that soldier back. So that's why I use that. Now I'm going to quickly go through the other ones. So we've got some fairly passive ones like Heal, cost me 8 to cast. Simple, really. It's a great one to cast if you're just looking for some experience points to put up on the board, and it's also a safe one as well. Chances are, if you failed and you're going to lose health because you failed, or if you want to boost it up, you're going to gain some health back from that, even if you're overextending. My one offensive spell is Grenade. This one's fantastic. This one actually is I think it's the only area of effect spell in the game. I killed a wizard and a soldier in one turn with this spell. It was fantastic. So you get a +3 shooting attack, and you target one model, and any models within 1.5 take that same +3 shooting attack. So you can hit several models at once. You can see here I've spent 3 points on it, so I'm trying to bring that one down. Sorry if I'm talking quite quickly. I'm trying to get this done without it dragging on too much. So Grenade is the offensive spell I've got. Now, Invisibility. I've learned that this is amazing. Basically, you make a model. You have to be in touch with it. You have to. I've reduced it by 4, so it's down to 10 now because I love it that much. You make a model invisible until they do something like attacking somebody or picking up treasure or anything like that. But once they've got the treasure, you can make them invisible again. And I actually had a train of invisibility. I had a soldier that picked up treasure. My wizard was invisible, cast invisibility on the soldier, but lost his own invisibility, which meant that the apprentice that was also invisible cast invisibility on the wizard, but then he became invisible. So it was a big old train of passing around invisibility. It was awesome, and that allows me to get treasure off the board. If you can cast invisibility on a model with treasure, that treasure is basically off the table unless your opponent has some kind of spell to reveal invisibility, that sort of thing. So that is fantastic. You'll notice that a lot of these are to do with sort of messing around with your opponents or my own models. Just having fun with it, really. I don't like just having offensive spells. I like to be able to mix it up a bit and really have fun with them. Now, Furious Quill. If you've got somebody who's targeting your guys from a distance, and you want to make his job a lot more difficult, you cast this on him, and he gets these negatives to him because basically he's got this quill and it's poking him in the face and just jabbing him over and over and over. It doesn't hurt him, but what it does do is it takes his move down, his fight, and this is the important one here: -4 shoot. That is a biggie. So if you've got a particularly potent archer on the other side of the table, really causing trouble for you guys, cast this on him. He's hamstrung. So that is Furious Quill. We've got Fleet Feet. This one I took because I like the look of. I haven't really used it very much, which is why you haven't seen any kind of improvements to it. It was just the idea that you can give an extra 2 move to some of your models, which of course will be a big help when you're carrying treasure and moving extra slow. Again, goes in with the theme of the Warband, which is movement, with +7 movement for all my guys except for the Wizard and the Apprentice, who are basically designed to sit back and poke at people and do things. Finally, we've got Push. You can see I've spent 2 of my levels on Push, getting it down to 6, and this one I just I love this one. I used it in the Golem, Hunt the Golem. The Golem was basically all up in my face, causing hell for my Warband on turn 2, so it was right in my deployment zone. But I managed to use this with both my Wizard and my Apprentice to push him back over to Harry and Callum's side, and made it a headache for those guys. So this is really good for messing with opponents, stopping people getting into close combat, pushing people out of combat if they're attacking you. All sorts of fun. Brilliant spell. Again, doesn't do any harm unless you push someone off a tall building, which, if you've seen my table, I've got a fair few tall buildings. In fact, I'll just show you that now. So this is actually a low level one that I've set up. We've got the tower, which is back there in pieces, but yeah, if you push someone off the tower, they're practically dead. So that is one of the awesome things about that spell. And of course, having these on the table with what you need to cast and how much you've spent into them is a real boon for playing the game. Speeds things up. It's a great playing aid. Right, and I think that's everything I needed to cover. Yeah. Right then, so as I said at the beginning, if you're interested in the global campaign, even if you just want to take a look, join the group on Facebook. There's a link in the description to that. And yeah, get involved if you're that way inclined. And we've had 2 games submitted so far. We've got until, like I say, New Year's Eve, so we've got just over a week left. I'm hoping to see a lot more when people have their Christmas breaks. But even if we only get 2, it'll be enough to progress the campaign to the next session, next round, as it were, with the next series of games. And even if you can only sort of get into one of the rounds, you still feel free to join in, because the general premise is that your wizards are being hired by these 2 factions. So you hired guns, essentially, or goons, as the case may be, to go into the Frozen City and risk your lives for treasure and for goodies from those 2 factions. Right then. So yeah, that's everything I wanted to cover. Thank you very much for watching. You can catch up with me on these things in between videos, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Stay well, guys.